Mary's baby isn't due until next spring, but the child is already getting talk show host Piers Morgan in hot water. Take a look at what he said on his show, Good Morning Britain, and how an outraged guest responded.
We might have the first black baby at Buckingham Palace has ever seen.
Why
which would be a wonderful thing, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It'll unite the country.
But can I
British
say, first
people
of all,
are all colours.
Being Jamaican, having been brought up in Jamaica, which is a multiracial society, I'm very sorry, the baby's not going to be black. The baby's going to have black blood, but it's also going to have white blood.
Okay.
You can't be 7/8 white and called black. I think that's racism of the highest order.
That's interesting.
Well, that's rather like Hitler's definition of a Jew. I'm sorry, if you're 1/8 Jewish, you're completely Jewish and therefore into the ovens. And I'm sorry, if you are partly black, you're partly black. You're not fully black.
I really don't like that comment.
What do you guys think?
I just felt that we were talking about a baby. It doesn't matter if you're multicultural, multigenetic. We're talking about a baby.
That's right.
So here's the thing. It's so unnecessary.
Right.
If Piers Morgan made a mistake and called the baby black, what's wrong with that? Can't the baby be black? Isn't that okay?
Yes.
I guess, but I don't think the way he said it, and Piers is a friend of mine, but the way he said, oh, the first black baby in Buckingham Palace.
That was a good thing.
It's not the way he said it. It's the way he said it. It's a baby. It's their baby. It shouldn't be black, white, yellow, green. It's a baby.
I would say this. I understand that in theory, but we celebrated Meghan marrying him because she brought blackness to the royal family, which is not the first time.
She's black.
She's black.
She's half black.
Yeah, no, I know, but she doesn't look black.
To who?
No,
to who?
To anybody.
Black people come in all different colors.
No,
Black people come in all shades.
I get your point. I get the point of everybody.
We come in all shades. But see, that's a whole other different discussion about how black you look or not look, or how white you look. That's a whole discussion we don't need to have.
It's baby. It's a baby.
I wanted to play that because I wanted people to hear for themselves exactly what was being said, because when I first heard the story, it bothered me. And it didn't bother me because I agree with Sheryl Underwood or Eve. It bothers me that these two black women are so, I don't know if they're acclimated or simulated into this country, but to not understand where Sharon Osbourne and the lady that you heard speaking, she spoke after Piers said it's going to be the first black baby in Buckingham Palace, which that is not true. And this is how people can get away with things, because you would have to take this all the way back to slavery. There was rape on the plantation, and of course biracial children were born to the slave women who were raped. These biracial children, they were treated better. They got to be in the house. They got certain privileges that the regular black slaves did not get, but it wasn't much better. But it was noticeable, and it was done to keep everyone in order and in check. But a lot of biracial people are used as buffers, so the dominant ruling class can keep their power and keep their position. And some people who are biracial and even some black people are given trinkets or a little more than the majority to keep the power structure going. But that's what was going on in slavery days. But the one drop rule came from slavery, because if you had one drop of black blood, you were tainted in some way, which is the stupidest thing that anyone ever came up with. And the fact that people still subscribe to it, it's sad. And it's a lot of black people who subscribe to it. You know, giving white people credit, they know when to use it to their advantage. The biracial children were labeled just a little bit more above slaves, like I said, to keep everything in order, but it was to keep them in that position, saying they have black blood in them, so they could not have any ownerships or rights, even though they were parented by a Caucasian male. They could not get any of the money, they could not get any of the land, they could not get any of the wealth that any other children who were fully Caucasian had rights to. That took away that biracial child's rights. That's where the one drop rule comes from. Fast forward to today, a lot of black people have been made in the image of their slave holders. We have the mindset, our actions mimic and mirror them, and some of the things that we hold true were passed down from slavery, and it's just been in our family, and we perpetuate it down to colorism and anything in between, and this shows it. I think it was so embarrassing to see Eve and to see Sheryl Underwood take the stance that they did and not agree with Sharon. When I see Meghan Markle, I do not see a black woman. If I didn't know she was biracial, I would swear that she was a white Latina. Anybody who knows nothing about her, if she passed them, they would suspect that she is a white Latina woman. They wouldn't think she was black, and they wouldn't think that she was fully white. But listening to her talk, she sounds like a white woman. And looking at her, she does not look black at all. And she is not black. You see her mother is more lighter. She's not a dark-skinned black woman. But she has taken on her father's genetics. And if she was to take a test, I am sure that you would see that there is an overwhelming amount of European blood in her. She has the right amount of black DNA that makes her acceptable in the royal family, because she looks very far from black. And now that she's married into the royal family, the children will have the benefits of what comes with blackness and melanin. A minute trace there, but those children are going to look white. I am sure they could end up having blonde hair and blue eyes. And when they're with their father, if you didn't know anything about their mother and that she looks like a white Latina, you would say these are white children, which they are going to be, because that DNA is mixed. The majority of the DNA is going to be European. They are going to have minute traces of black DNA in them. It's the same as Elizabeth Warren claiming that she's Native American. She's not Native American. Just because she can trace that back into her history doesn't make her Native American. It's the same thing that I say about this child that Meghan Markle is going to have. That is going to be a fully white child. And when those children grow up and get married, there will be no more blackness there at all. if there's even going to be a minute trace in them. We always want to perpetuate this thing where we are saying, you know, these women are black. This is why these women can come in. They get black female roles. They get put above us in music videos, and any financial gain or opportunity, they are picked as a stand-in for black women. And then actual black, brown skin, dark skin women are non-existent within the media or given certain opportunities, because people would much rather have a stand-in like a Meghan Markle to represent blackness. This shows you that white people do understand the difference between a black person and a biracial person and a mixed person, and how they will prefer to pick a mixed person over a black person any day. I've seen it in my place of employment where a biracial person was favored or given a better position than a black person. These two black women are the example of what's going on in our community. It is the men and the women in our community with this mindset that allows us as a people to be stepped on, our backs to be stepped on, and everyone else, whether they're white, Spanish speaking, or biracial, to step and catapult themselves to success on our backs, because we tell them to step on our backs, because we uplift them. Someone like a Cardi B, we uplift that. We uplift Meghan Markle. These women do not represent black women, the majority of black women. They are not black women, but we will fight for them and say they're included. Now, Sheryl Underwood, I have this suspicion that she has some issues with her skin tone, and that's why she says what she does. And Eve, I have a sneaking suspicion, because she is married to a white man. If she has children, her children will be biracial, but she will want to label her children as black. And with black men, because black men, they will prefer a light skin, a racially ambiguous woman, or a biracial or mixed woman over a black woman. I didn't say all, but it is a lot, an overwhelming amount that do. And there's a lot of colorism in the community. That's why they will say that the women are black. Some of them even have this, you are what your father is, which is bullshit. That's not biblical. Just goes to show, you know, anybody who is a Bible believer, they really don't read their Bible. They just go off what people tell them. None of that is biblical, and it's not even scientific if you take that route. But Eve, because if she has a child, she's going to want to label her children as black. But too bad. You have to think about these things when you are marrying and procreating. You have to think about how you're going to feel, your children will feel, and your spouse will feel. Because if you have a problem with someone labeling your biracial children as biracial, maybe you should think about being with someone who is black, so your children can be black like you, and you can have that sense of pride in your blackness. Because what it seems to me is that people want to say they want to do whatever they want to. They want to date interracially, but they want to force the product of their interracial unions on black people. And that's not right. People are not black. I think it's disrespectful, as the lady said in the and the lady who spoke in the interview, who said that this baby is not black, and saying that it's racist to say that. I am in 100% 100% agreement with her. It is very disrespectful to be saying that Meghan Markle or this baby is black. They are not black. They are biracial. You can't just dismiss their whiteness just because you want to. It's just like white people cannot dismiss Meghan Markle's black mother just because they feel some type of way. What produced this person was a mix of black and white. So I do think that's disrespectful. And biracial or mixed is not a dirty word. I think it's perfect to label people exactly who they are, because it says you have one parent from one race and another parent from another race, and that's all it means. And you know, with me, I use mix when you start looking at grandparents and they could be different races as well. But mixed and biracial, there's nothing wrong with those words. To sit up there and say that this baby is going to be black is deplorable and it's disrespectful. And to say Meghan Markle herself is black, you can say her mother is black, that's correct, but biracial people are not black. It seems like black people, for whatever reason, don't want to let go of the one drop rule. And I think with a lot of people who are in interracial marriages and relationships and they have children, they always want to bring those children into the black community. This is what I see in my own community. They'll bring their non-black spouse in, they'll bring the children in, and they expect the black community and even their family members to come with open arms. And a lot of people are trying to force, you know, that onto black people in our communities. They shame us when we say that we don't see this person as black, this person is biracial, and if we're not so accepting with open arms. And I think a lot of people who have biracial children or in interracial relationships and marriages, you should have thought about that before you had those children or got into that marriage, and understand that everybody was not going to be so open arms and accepting things from your point of view. But I've talked about Meghan Markle before. I've talked about black people pushing biracial and mixed people into the black race. I think it's very desperate. I think it's embarrassing. And like I said, biracial and mixed people are not black. That doesn't mean that I don't care about my biracial family members and friends, but from my point of view, they are not black. So I'll go ahead and leave it right here. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with Eve and Sheryl Underwood, or do you not consider biracial people black? What do you think Meghan Markle's child is going to look like? And I'll see you in the next one.